Hello, I'm Casey Aiken, and this is 21 This Week. Coming up next, will term limit referendum gain new life after the Montgomery County Council approved the largest tax increases since 2009? Will MCPS dumb down its special academic programs in the name of political correctness? And should BCC teens caught drinking at the prom have been allowed to graduate with their class? In our last segment, federal judge throws out Rockville zoning case ruling that governments can do whatever they want to do. Our panel of insiders will give you the story behind the story. We're joined by Democrat political savant Sam Statland, former membership director for the Maryland Republican Party, Phil Bell, Maryland attorney Robin Ficker, who recently ran for the Republican nomination in the 6th Congressional District, and immediate past president of Progressive Maryland, Elbridge James. Stay tuned for these stories and more on the next 21 This Week. Just before the Memorial Day weekend, the Montgomery County Council gave final approval to a $5.3 billion budget that included the largest property tax since 2009 and a 20% increase in the recordation tax, making it more expensive to buy and sell a home in Montgomery County. According to reports, property taxes will increase an average of $326 per household, and the cost of buying a new home will increase by $455. The council's action raised speculation that the term limit ballot initiative, sponsored by our guest Robin Ficker, will have a better chance of succeeding this November. But before we get into that part of the discussion, I want to go to you first, Sam. The County Council dubbed this budget the Education First Plan because it increased the MCPS budget by $90 million over the state mandated minimum and provides additional funding for school construction. At the same time, it reduced raises for teachers from 8% to 4.5% and limited increases for other union workers. So did the council take a balanced approach to budgeting this year?
I think the county council took a terrible approach to budgeting. First of all, they increased the minimum mandate now that we have to spend on schools by $90 million a year from this year forward, an unfunded mandate. What if the economy tanks? Where's the money going to come from? Are they again going to do what they did this year by cutting back on agreed and negotiated contracts with our teachers and the teachers' unions? I think that's a terrible thing. You must keep your promises. People lose faith in you. And I think that people are upset about getting more and more taxes the way we are here. I know in my business I have people moving to Delaware all the time to avoid paying higher taxes that we get here in Montgomery County. So I think they overreached big time, which I think will influence Robin's initiative.
All right, we're going to go to Elbridge on this because Sam isn't the only one who's upset. Gino Rennie, president of the United Food and Commercial Workers Local 1994, which represents 5,000 county workers, he's unhappy with this budget, and he says he's going to support the term limit proposition next November.
I appreciate Gino's support for the term limitation. I don't agree with it. I've had some problems with it, especially when, in fact, you say that if you're in office now, that's it. You know, you're limited. If I'm correct, if I'm wrong, you can tell me. But if I'm correct, that says, because I'm in office, I'm going to be penalized. Term limitations probably in some place have their place. I don't think so in Montgomery County. I agree with Sam about the budget being off whack with regard to some of the changes. I think it needed to have been redeveloped and redesigned. But in terms of term limitations, I do have some problems with it. Gino and I will talk.
But do you think voters are going to react to the increase in taxes?
No.
Elbridge?
No. In fact, when you were telling me about the property tax that I had to pay, I was calculating every month. Okay, that's going to be either $6 or $10. That's not even a case of beer.
It's an 8% increase, Elbridge.
It's still not going to be a case of beer. I keep telling you.
All right. Well, Robin.
In the long term.
Robin, Elbridge is a good example. There are those that think that Montgomery County voters are passive and so in love with county services that they'll accept any tax increase passed by the council without care. This is the third time in 15 years that a term limit referendum has been proposed. Why will this time be successful?
Well, last time we got 48.5%, and I think people are upset that the council voted itself a 30% wage increase and gave us an 8.7% property tax increase, while Social Security got no increase because there was no inflation. People realize that 12 years is enough. If you can't get it done in 12 years, forget it. Look at the wonderful contest we had when Chris Van Hollen resigned. All the people that were running for that open seat. Contrast that with the Democratic primary for 4 at-large council seats in 2014 when we had only 6 candidates.
Robin, but you're saying the fact is that if I'm in office now, I'm being penalized. I can see some term limitation going forward, but don't penalize me because I'm in office now.
Well, I'm saying the system is rigged here in Montgomery County. We have people dying in office. We need some fresh ideas, Elbridge, and perhaps you might even consider running for county council if we didn't have this closed system where only 6 people run for 4 seats with the special interest backing.
That really ties into a $5.3 billion budget, of which almost half goes into the school system, which affects all of the teachers and also Gino's union, which has, in my opinion, an undue influence on our elections. And further, I don't think that the Founding Fathers intended to have full-time career politicians. And of course, we know that in the last budget, these guys gave themselves a raise. And furthermore, is 12 years, is kind of enough? Why do we have to have a whole pillar
But Sam,
of
wait a
full-time
second.
raises?
Wait a minute. I want to jump in. Sam, won't there be chaos with all of these experienced legislators having to see?
Well, the
be
younger
replaced?
Democrats here in Montgomery County, as you know, feel that there's not enough exposure between young Dems, which includes minority, Hispanic, Asian, and others. So I think it'll help.
I want to go to Phil. Phil,
Now,
real quick.
To Sam's point, these legislators are they're in the top 1%, Al Gore's top 1%. That's something that's very noteworthy for what's effectively a part-time job, number one. And number two, what have we said about the quality of the money that's being put in to these schools? What's the actual benefit going to be?
All right, I want to go to Robin because this is your proposition. Do you have the signatures necessary to get this on the ballot in November? And is it going to be successful?
Yes, we do have the signatures. It takes 10,000 valid signatures. We're checking every one on the computer now against the voter registration list. We have over 12,500 signatures. It's going to be on the ballot, and Montgomery Countyans are going to get some fresh ideas in the county government instead of these tired old tax increase specialists.
Thanks, Robin. All right, now on to our next topic. For the past 2 years, I have been reporting on the sudden passage of a zoning text amendment by Rockville Mayor Bridget Donald Newton and City Council member Beryl Feinberg, which prevented the Sienna Corporation from developing a self-storage facility on the vacant Wonder Bread site on Taft Street. The zoning text amendment, which came after Sienna had preliminary approval from the City Council and the City Planning Board for its projects. The change into the zoning code, which had been in place for over 30 years, came at the last minute. This week, federal judge Roger Titus dismissed Sienna's lawsuit, holding that zoning changes, they happen all the time. Sam, you were on the panel when we talked about this in 2015 in January. Does the judge's decision mean that businesses like Sienna, who invest millions of dollars into projects, are at the capricious whims of local governments?
2 different points. First of all, the judge said that elected officials couldn't be sued in public office for making this type of a decision. That was his ruling on the dismissal. But more importantly than that, he's right. These things happen all the time. And in Montgomery County, when you talk about business development and bringing business in, it scares businesses away. You have a guy that puts up a lot of money to buy a piece of property, that goes to develop a piece of property, goes before the planning board, spends hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a project approved, and right before it's approved, you have a division of county government, in this case the City Council of Rockville, says, oh, we're going to change the law that prevents you from doing that. That is not right. Another example, Costco Wheaton Plaza. they said, look, we're not going to build a Costco there unless we can put a gas station in. And Ike Leggett said to these guys, okay, folks, we'll get you the gas station. And in effect, went around a hearing before Park and Planning, which has led to lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit brought by the people in that community
But
who, out of their own pockets, have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to
I want to go to Phil on this. Phil, the response is there was an election last year, and both the mayor of Rockville and council member Feinberg were reelected. So didn't the people speak and say they don't care about business?
Well, I wouldn't say that. What I would say, first of all, Sam is right about a lot of this, in that you've got to really ask yourself, why is it that these businesses are actually willing to spend all this money and then just wake up and say, oh, sorry, it's gone, just like that. But it begs the question, we need true guidelines about how they're able to act, what they're able to do.
Real quick.
Well, Casey, the mayor has done a real public service in identifying as a terroristic threat these dangerous public storage facilities. They're right next to the Crescent Trail. They're near River Road. We're all in danger. The kids nearby who bicycle by.
Well, the fact is that the Wonder Bread site is a vacant eyesore, not producing any tax revenue for Montgomery County because of this short-sighted action by the Rockville mayor and city council. When we come back from this short break, did MCPS acting superintendent Larry Bowers send the wrong message by allowing BCC students who were caught drinking at the prom to walk at graduation? And will the changes in the MCPS magnet program hurt Asian students? Stay tuned. And welcome back. For years, Montgomery County and the MCPS school system have been working hard to discourage teen-age drunk driving, particularly after a June 2015 incident where 2 Wooten High School graduates were killed after an underage drinking party. So the action this week by MCPS acting superintendent Larry Bowers to allow 6 BCC students found drinking at the prom to walk at graduation, overturning the decision by the high school principal Donna Redmond Jones, has angered many. Elbridge, did Larry Bowers send the wrong message by allowing these students to walk at graduation?
Without further information, just off the general thought of it, I'm not in favor of his recommendation. I go along with the principal. I go along with Mad and Sad with regard to, let's send a message to our youth, don't drink.
But Elbridge, I got to ask you, what is the point of graduation? These kids have worked hard for 4 years to make their grades, and they want to have the opportunity to stand in front of their friends and family, walk across that stage. And you're going to say, well, hey,
not at the prom.
You went to a...
Not at the prom.
Yeah, you're right, not at the prom.
The
This
PTA
is at graduation.
Of that school, the PTA, voted to support the principal in this last decision, support. And memories are short because there was a horrendous accident within a quarter of a mile of that school about 5 years ago on East-West Highway as a result of drunk driving, and I think 4 students were killed, if I recall.
Well,
But how is this a deterrent
And if the
to
parents want it, and you don't cut the legs out from your administration.
Robin,
the superintendent could have said, yes, you can go to the graduation, but first you have to attend a full weekend at Right Turn of Maryland getting educated about alcohol, or take a 6-session alcohol education course that the courts order each and every day.
Which may have been done, but we don't have that information. And this is uncharacteristic of the superintendent. So, I mean, there has to be more than this. But right now, he's just sending the wrong message.
Very much so.
Well, I mean, I want to go back to this because, Phil, you seem to indicate that they should be allowed
They
to graduate.
Absolutely.
But how do you send a message to control drunk driving to students if you're not going to enforce a rule which had been established by the principal?
That's what the 4 years of high school are for. That's what the additional 3 years of middle school are for, to educate children about how they should act, what the appropriate things to do, what they should not do. This is at the very end, and you're going to say, hey, wait a second, this didn't have anything to do with what we're talking about now. We're going to slap your hands.
Phil,
that doesn't make sense.
The community has been battling
Yes.
drug abuse, whether it's alcohol, narcotics, cocaine, marijuana, for years in that school. And the principal was carrying out really the wishes
Of the
of
community.
people who live in that community, including guys like me. And I think that what you don't do is send two messages at the same time. And as an administrator, I don't think that you should cut the legs out from under a person there making the decision. I just don't. I
But-
think that's a wrong way to do it.
Well, but are the wishes of
I
the
like
community?
Robin's idea better.
Are the wish? And I agree, Robin has a very good idea. But are the wishes of the community that the drug problem, the alcohol problems be addressed, or the wishes of the community that the students not be allowed to
But
graduate?
one of the solutions in addressing the problem was to say, this is in stone. You show up at a prom, you don't graduate.
Let me
And how many
let
students?
me just tell you,
out of,
if there's a
out of
drug,
what,
if there was a drug,
2,000 students, how many were involved in this?
Six.
Out of thousands.
How many-
Tenths of 1%.
How many
here's
of
the,
us up
wait,
here-
but here's the problem. Every year there is a tragedy.
Every year.
And so how do you get that message across? And I hate saying it, teenagers are going to latch on to this and say, okay, it isn't going to be enforced, so it doesn't have a lot of weight and a lot of bearing. I think it was a terrible decision by the superintendent.
But some teenagers will. I'm willing to bet you more parents are going to latch on this and say, yo, buddy, let's wait on this. You do not.
But the problem is we have parents supporting teenage drinking.
Who have been fined, who have been taken to court.
Now, you're right about that.
The example that we used about the Wooten kids happened at a parents-sponsored party.
And unfortunately for that, but after that event, every parent got put on notice.
Not enough. I don't think so.
It happens.
All right, I want to stay on this MCPS issue because a new report prepared by the firm of Metis Associates on the special academic programs in Montgomery County Public Schools concluded that the gifted and talented magnet programs are not reaching Hispanic, Black, and low-income families. District data shows that in Montgomery Blair's High School, in their elite math, science, and computer science programs, enrollment is 57% Asian, 28% white, while African American and Hispanic enrollment are less than 5% each. Now, at a recent forum on this issue, Julie Yang, a parent of two, said many Asian parents are worried that the recommendation, which mentions group-specific norms, or code word for quotas, could lead to Asian American children being denied admission on the basis of race. Elbridge, a 2007 U.S. Supreme Court decision, bars school systems from using race as a determining factor in enrollment decisions, including magnet and other special programs, even if the goal is laudable and is to attract and maintain a diverse student population. So how does MCPS promote greater inclusivity while not discriminating against other ethnic groups?
The goal for every school system is prepare our children to be leaders in society. When they go to college or wherever field they go into, the goal is for them to be leaders in society. If you have a society where leaders are only from one race or two races, while the rest of society is not included, there is a problem. My argument is that you don't change who can get in, you change sometimes the rules that qualify to what you can get in. This has been shown throughout the country where you have single determinants, you have a disparity. You have Massachusetts, New York, Connecticut, and other states will have multiple qualifications. The diversity is spread out more. The Bakke decision changed how University of Maryland brought students in. But when the University of Maryland said we need diversity in our student population so that in fact we can develop a leadership pool that knows about all our country and all our communities and said these are the qualifications, these are criteria, you still had African Americans less participation there, but you still had reasons why people went out and stretched themselves so that in fact there was more inclusion. And I think that is what they're trying to do here. Asian Americans played by the rules, but the rules change, and so therefore we all have to play by those new change of rules.
What
Elbridge,
what I would suggest is that since we have over 1,000 school administrators who don't teach kids, all of whom are paid over $110,000 a year, why don't we ask these people to volunteer on Saturday to help give those who aren't in this special magnet program but who want to be a leg up so that they can qualify for the program?
not only that, but the whole idea of setting up the consortium was a top-down issue, not bottom-up.
Correct.
And that was the first mistake of it. And the second mistake is, who was before Starr? The superintendent.
Jerry Wiest.
Wiest started a program where programs were put in place to educate all kids at a minority level within the feeder schools going into the consortium to try to encourage broader education. And not only that, but parent involvement to support their kids so that they would fight for their kids to get in these programs. And unfortunately, when you're poor and you don't have money and you're working a couple of jobs, you don't have the time to be an advocate for your own child. You need an advocate.
Oh,
And I
But
think
the
that
children
advocacy
have the time
should
to advocate for themselves.
I
And
don't
they
think so.
absolutely have to do this if they want to be
Did
involved.
you go to college?
I did go to college.
How did you get into college?
You know how? I got into college was not being a very good student and getting just in the bottom of Boston University.
Well, we're
I'm telling you in my
gonna
own
have to
taste.
wrap this up. But this is a new proposal. They're examining the program, and we're going to be talking about this until something is proposed and enacted. Stay tuned for parting shots when we come back from this short break. And welcome back. Now with parting shots, Phil Bell.
My parting shot this evening goes out to the legendary Dodger sportscaster Vin Scully. Vin is retiring this year after over 60 years behind the microphone. He saw the team in Brooklyn. He's seen the team in Los Angeles. He was around when Joe DiMaggio was playing and Sandy Koufax and now Clayton Kershaw. So it's been a great run and glad we had the opportunity to hear his wonderful voice.
Thank you, Phil. Sam Statland, your parting shot.
I have a really big boo for Costco. Costco has been fighting this gas station, putting in a gas station in Wheaton Plaza now for, I guess, about 5 years, mainly because of a poor zoning decision by local government. Local citizens, the folks who live there within several hundred yards of the gas station, have been put in a situation where they, personally, out of their own pockets, have put several $100,000 to prevent this from happening and have gotten it so far to the Court of Appeals. Costco, you don't need that gas station there. How's it going to fit? It's going to make traffic worse, and now you got new townhouses going up there. Back off, Costco. Drop your appeal.
Thank you, Sam. Elbridge James, your parting shot.
I hate Donald Trump, but I love my country. And then whereas I might support the protesters, you do not burn my flag. You do not burn my flag. If you don't respect my flag, don't be here.
Thank you, Elbridge. Robin Ficker, your opportunity to for your first parting shot.
If we get term limits, it's unlikely we're going to get the proposed, in their mind, tax increases to fund the future pension deficits, the Purple Line, and the bus rapid transit. These tax increase specialists in the county government gave us an 8.7% property tax increase this year. In 2010, they promised to sunset their 156% residential energy tax increase. They lied, they didn't sunset it. And in 2008, they gave us a 14% increase in the county budget in 1 year. If you don't like property tax increases each and every year, vote for term limits.
Thank you, Robin. Now, today is June 3rd, and it is two significant events happening today. Number one, first and dear to my heart, it's National Donut Day.
Yes.
And second, it's also the day that Billy Joe McAllister jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. So there was a great article in the Washington Post today about the singer Bobby Gentry and how her lack of desire to be in the spotlight continues to this day. So it was a great song in 1965 or whenever the heck it came out, and I'm still thinking about it. So for 21 this week, I want to thank the panel for being here. Great discussion. Thank you for being here. Thank you, audience, for tuning in to Montgomery County's hardest hitting political talk show. For 21 this week, I'm Casey Aiken, and remember, you can like us on Facebook, you can follow us on Twitter, and you can watch previous editions on YouTube. For 21 this week, I'm Casey Aiken.